Dick Van Dyke, one of the icons of entertainment, is not only known for his funny and cute roles, but also for his life full of challenges and suffering. Despite his great success in his career, he also faced difficult battles in his personal life and health. In today's video, we will learn about Dick Van Dyke's tumultuous life, the difficulties he had to overcome, and the legacy he left behind. Early life of Dick Van Dyke. Dick Van Dyke, whose real name is Richard Wayne Van Dyke, was born on December 13, 1925, in West Plains, Missouri, into a middle-class family. He was the youngest of 3 children. His mother, Hazel, was musical and played the piano, while his father, Loren, was a banker. Although his family was not directly involved in the entertainment industry, they had a strong interest in art and music, which greatly influenced Dick Van Dyke's life and career. Growing up in Missouri, Dick Van Dyke had a childhood filled with memories of music and creativity. Although his family was not a professional artistic family, the family environment was very encouraging of creativity. His mother inspired Dick by playing the piano and singing, and this was a great encouragement for Dick to develop a passion for music from a very young age. From a young age, Dick Van Dyke showed a love for the arts. He began to learn the piano and participated in cultural activities at school. But that was not all, because he also loved drama and often participated in school plays. His passion for the arts was even more evident when Dick began to try his hand at small roles in school plays. This helped him not only develop his acting skills, but also nurture his dream of becoming a professional artist. When World War II broke out, Dick Van Dyke joined the United States Army in 1943 when he was only 18 years old. He was recruited into the United States Air Force and served in a radio unit. This was an important time in Dick's life because during his time in the Army, he learned many valuable skills in communication and working in front of the public, which later helped him a lot in his artistic career. After completing his military service in 1946, Dick returned to civilian life and began to pursue his artistic dreams. His time in the military helped him develop his performance and communication skills, especially through his work as a radio announcer. It was also during this period that Dick began to pursue acting as a career, although the path was not easy. Brilliant early career. Dick Van Dyke began his career in the entertainment industry at a very young age with a strong passion for acting. After graduating from high school, he decided to leave his hometown and move to New York to pursue his artistic dream. The early days were not easy. Van Dyke had to work many jobs to make ends meet while continuing to pursue his passion for acting. He participated in small auditions and began appearing in late-night television shows and Broadway plays. These challenging early years helped Van Dyke hone his acting and dancing skills, which would later help him stand out in the entertainment industry. However, it was not until he was cast as the lead in The Dick Van Dyke Show in 1961 that his career exploded. The show not only became a huge hit, but also helped Van Dyke reap many important awards. With his intelligence and charm in acting, Van Dyke created a perfect model of a successful television actor, while bringing the audience moments of relaxation and refreshing laughter. Dick Van Dyke's career turned a new page when he participated in the film Mary Poppins in 1964, one of the most outstanding films in his career. The role of Bert, Mary Poppins' funny and friendly servant, helped Van Dyke affirm his talent for dancing and excellent musical ability. The film was not only a huge success in terms of revenue, but also became a cultural icon. Van Dyke's charming performance, the combination of humor and emotion, captivated audiences everywhere and also brought him an Oscar nomination. Soon after, he continued to affirm his position in the film industry with Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, 1968. Although not as successful as Mary Poppins, the film was still a hit, in which Van Dyke showed off his excellent dancing and acting skills. In addition to being a movie star, Van Dyke was also loved for his television shows, especially his roles in Broadway plays. These successes not only proved his versatile talent, but also made Van Dyke an icon in the entertainment industry. In addition to his films and television shows, Van Dyke has received numerous prestigious awards, including an Emmy Award for his role in The Dick Van Dyke Show and a Tony Award for his Broadway plays. These achievements not only reflect Van Dyke's talent, but also the result of his tireless dedication throughout his long career. The great success that Van Dyke achieved was not only due to his acting ability, but also due to his hard work, passion, and professional attitude, always seeking innovation and self-improvement. Dick Van Dyke's life was not only filled with great success, but also a series of trials and tribulations that he had to face throughout his long journey. While audiences are familiar with the image of a cheerful and talented artist on stage, few know that behind the spotlight is a personal life full of difficulties and conflicts. From broken marriages, alcoholism, to the challenges of being a father, Dick Van Dyke has experienced many sufferings. Personal life pains. Dick Van Dyke's first marriage to Marjorie Willett lasted more than 30 years, but like many long-term relationships in the entertainment industry, their family life was not always a happy one. They met when Van Dyke was just starting his acting career, and Marjorie became an important source of support in those early years. However, as Van Dyke became famous, things began to change. He shared in many interviews, "When you become famous, everything changes, especially when you have to live in the public eye." This change created a great distance between the couple. Van Dyke's increasing time spent working left him with little time for his family. Although Marjorie remained a loving and supportive partner throughout his early career, Dick's fame and busyness created irreconcilable tensions. Another factor that contributed to the breakdown of the marriage was the emergence of personal problems that Dick Van Dyke faced, especially alcoholism. During the early years of his career, Van Dyke struggled with alcoholism, which severely affected both his personal and professional life. Alcohol not only damaged his physical health but also eroded his family relationships. He shared in a 1993 interview, "Drinking was my way of escaping feelings of failure and pressure, but in the end, it just made things worse." Alcoholism was one of the biggest challenges that Dick Van Dyke faced. Long nights of partying and finding joy in alcohol caused him to lose control, affecting both his work and his family. Despite being a talented and recognized artist, Van Dyke could not escape the destructive power of alcoholism. By 1970, his drinking had reached a point where he was unable to concentrate on work or family relationships. Despite repeated attempts to quit, alcoholism had become ingrained in his life. In 1972, Van Dyke entered a rehab program, sharing his decision in his autobiography. "It was only when I realized that drinking was not the answer that I began to change." However, the effects of his battle with alcoholism left lasting scars. His relationship with Marjorie became increasingly strained, eventually leading to their divorce in 1984, after more than 3 decades of marriage. Dick Van Dyke was the father of 3 children, and like many famous fathers, he faced unique challenges in balancing work and fatherhood. Being so busy with major projects and public events left him little time for his family. In his autobiography, he admitted that I did not do a good job as a father, and that was always a source of sadness to me. His children not only had to deal with their father's frequent absences, but also witnessed the change in family dynamics when their parents divorced. Dick's relationship with his children became strained, and maintaining these relationships was not easy. During his absence, Dick felt like a failure as a father. His children faced difficulties when their father was not always there to support and accompany them through their formative years. His absence during these crucial times left him feeling guilty and unable to fulfill his role in the way he wanted. After his divorce from Marjorie and his health problems due to alcoholism, Dick Van Dyke felt lonely and emotionally deprived. The divorce was not only an emotional shock, but also left deep psychological scars. During the years following the divorce, Dick repeatedly admitted to his feelings of failure and guilt. He shared, "There were times when I felt like a complete failure. I couldn't keep the family together, and I couldn't be a good role model for my children." Feelings of loneliness and emotional deprivation became constant emotions during these years. Questions about himself and the wrong choices in life and career weighed heavily on him. However, these difficult times were also important turning points that helped Dick look back on his life and begin his journey of healing. Although the trauma was not easy to overcome, Dick Van Dyke gradually found peace and love from his loved ones after years of struggling with pain. In later years, he remarried and found happiness in his personal life. Dick Van Dyke shared that facing his past mistakes and receiving forgiveness from his family were important steps in his healing process. Dick Van Dyke, despite his stellar career, was not immune to health challenges as he aged. In his later years, he faced several serious health issues, including age-related conditions such as arthritis, back pain, and a decline in physical strength. However, the most serious illness he faced was Parkinson's disease, a neurological condition that causes a decline in muscle movement and coordination. The struggle with illness. Dick Van Dyke's diagnosis of Parkinson's disease in 2013 came as a huge shock to both him and his fans. In a 2014 interview, Dick Van Dyke shared how he felt when he received the diagnosis. "When I was diagnosed with Parkinson's, I was shocked. I thought it was something that could never be stopped, but I didn't let it control my life." His Parkinson's disease forced him to face major changes in his daily life, from difficulty walking to performing simple activities that he had always done with ease. Feeling out of control of his body was a huge challenge, and he admitted that there were times when he felt hopeless. However, he did not give up easily. "It's not an easy life, but I'm not going to let it defeat me," Dick Van Dyke said in another interview with People magazine in 2019. Despite battling a disease that severely affects his ability to move, Dick Van Dyke decided to take a strong stance. He refused to let the disease take over his life, and instead of retreating, he continued to participate in physical activities, including yoga and exercise, to maintain his flexibility and strength. He shared that staying active was how he coped with Parkinson's symptoms and felt in control of his life. "I participated in workouts even though sometimes I couldn't do all the moves I used to. But I believe that staying active is the key to living happily with Parkinson's," he shared in his autobiography, My Lucky Life in and Out of Show Business. Parkinson's disease had a profound impact on Dick Van Dyke's career, especially in his later years in the entertainment industry. Although he continued to take on projects, physically demanding scenes became much more difficult. A clear example is when he participated in the movie Mary Poppins Returns in 2018. Despite his age and Parkinson's disease, he still took on a cameo role in a scene, but only briefly and not in a physically demanding scene. In an interview with the New York Times, he shared, "This is the first time I've had to take part in a scene where I couldn't do what I wanted to do. But I'm very grateful to still be asked to participate." However, the difficulties in moving and performing scenes caused Dick Van Dyke to gradually limit his participation in major projects and only accept roles that were suitable for his health condition. The reduction in big roles did not diminish his passion for the profession. He said, "I don't have the same intensity as before, but I still love this job. I find small roles, suitable opportunities, and I still feel very happy when I do it." Although he no longer appears on the big stages as much as before, Dick Van Dyke is still loved and respected by colleagues and friends in the entertainment industry. They always praise his resilience and optimism. Mary Poppins. Julie Andrews, who accompanied him in the 1964 film Mary Poppins, shared in an interview about her admiration for Dick Van Dyke. "Dick was always a great person. Not only a talented artist, but also a very lively and optimistic person. Even though he had difficulties in life, he always brought positive energy to the people around him." However, it cannot be denied that the final years of Dick Van Dyke's career saw many major changes, as he no longer participated in high-profile projects or public events as before. However, his resilience and optimism remained an inspiration to many generations of artists and audiences. After retiring from public life in the limelight of his career, Dick Van Dyke began to face great challenges that not everyone could see. Although he was a great star, his life became more lonely as his loved ones gradually drifted away and his career was no longer what it used to be. His final life and final difficulties. A large part of his loneliness came from the gradual limitation of his activities due to the effects of Parkinson's disease and age. The days when he was no longer involved in major projects or recording sessions made him feel a lack of joy, and sometimes he had to fight a sense of loss of self. In 2013, Dick Van Dyke shared with his fans that after retiring from the spotlight, he felt disconnected from the world around him. In his autobiography, My Lucky Life in and Out of Show Business, Van Dyke described the loneliness he felt when he was no longer involved in popular television shows such as The Dick Van Dyke Show and Mary Poppins, the films that made his name. Although he maintained a happy family life, his absence from the entertainment industry made him realize that life was no longer the same, and he had to get used to living away from the public eye. The loss of public presence caused Dick Van Dyke to face mental difficulties. Despite his illustrious career and popularity, he felt alienated from society. Many fans turned away, not because of changes in his health, but because he was no longer regularly appearing on screen or at events. He admitted that this sometimes made him feel like a stranger in the world he once occupied. In an interview, Van Dyke once confided, "I feel like a ghost in a world that I once lived and loved." While the physical and professional challenges were great, the emotional and mental challenges that Dick Van Dyke faced in his later years were even more painful. He struggled with helplessness as he realized that his health was no longer what it used to be. The pain in his body could not be cured and even affected his ability to interact socially. His emotions and relationships with his family were also affected. Although Dick Van Dyke always tried to maintain a connection with his children and relatives, the change in himself and the gap between generations made him sometimes feel like he was living in a different world. In a 2019 interview, Dick Van Dyke shared about facing the limitations brought by Parkinson's disease. "The worst feeling is when you can't do the things you used to do, and it seems like it's getting harder and harder every day," he said. But despite the times when he felt helpless, he never gave up. Van Dyke attended physical therapy sessions and used yoga as a way to maintain his flexibility and strength. These methods not only helped him improve his physical health, but also helped him stay mentally strong. Feelings of panic began to set in as he faced the signs of aging and the loss of control over his bodily functions due to Parkinson's disease. Sometimes he felt like he was losing much of his ability to care for himself, something that had always been important to him. But despite all the hardships, Dick Van Dyke always tried to keep his spirits up. He did not give up, but instead sought to adapt to the new situation by using every resource possible, from treatments and exercise to maintaining his belief in positive life values. Legacy and life lessons. Although Dick Van Dyke endured many challenges in his life, including difficulties in his marriage, health, and career, he left behind a strong legacy of humor and optimism. His famous roles in The Dick Van Dyke Show and Mary Poppins remain indelible in the hearts of audiences. The Dick Van Dyke Show was not only a turning point in his career, but also became an icon of the sitcom genre, with Van Dyke's subtle humor and talented acting. In particular, his scenes in Mary Poppins with Julie Andrews have become legendary, especially the scene where he danced on the rooftops in Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, where his lightness and humor captivated millions of viewers. With his optimistic personality and willingness to do everything with a smile on his face, Dick Van Dyke has become an ideal role model for fans and colleagues. Despite the challenges in life, he always maintains a positive attitude and does not allow himself to be defeated. He once shared in an interview, "I can't change what happened, but I can change how I deal with it. Always smile and never give up." This spirit has become Van Dyke's signature, which helps him continue to work and create memorable works to this day. Dick Van Dyke not only left a great artistic legacy, but also an endless source of inspiration for future generations. His life and career contain many valuable lessons, especially about resilience, perseverance, and overcoming adversity. One of the important messages he conveyed was the ability to stand up after failure and find ways to overcome difficulties in life. When faced with Parkinson's disease, he did not let this disease diminish his spirit and passion for work. Instead of withdrawing, Dick Van Dyke continued to participate in activities and projects that were suitable for his health condition so as not to lose his joy of life. This emphasizes the importance of always maintaining an optimistic spirit no matter how difficult life is. In addition, Dick Van Dyke also constantly reminded people of the value of family and health. Although he had a brilliant career, he always believed that family was the most important thing. He once shared in an interview with CBS News, "Careers can come and go, but family is something that stays forever." This message was carried out throughout his life when he always tried to maintain relationships with his wife, children, and loved ones despite facing many personal difficulties. In addition, his life is also a lesson in self-care and the importance of maintaining health. Dick Van Dyke not only faced Parkinson's disease with strength, but also encouraged others to face the disease and maintain an optimistic spirit. He shared his secret to long-term health, including daily exercise, healthy eating, and keeping a happy mind. His resilience is a clear testament to how keeping a strong spirit can help people overcome any challenge in life. Dick Van Dyke's life, with all its ups and downs and relentless efforts, will always be an inspiration to future generations. He proved that no matter how difficult the situation, maintaining perseverance, living with passion, and loving family are the core values that help each person overcome everything. With his ups and downs in life and career, Dick Van Dyke is not only an entertainment icon, but also an inspiration for perseverance and overcoming difficulties. Can you share what you learned from his life and career journey? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. We would love to hear from you. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more interesting updates. Thank you, and see you in the next videos.